To get things underway, I have a passage from the big book, Paul. Page 152. And second paragraph. We have shown how we got out from under. You say, yes, I'm willing, but am I to be consigned to a life where I shall be stupid, boring, and glum? Like some righteous people I see. I know I must get along without liquor, but how can I? Have you a sufficient substitute? Yes, there is a substitute, and it is vastly more than that. It is a fellowship in Alcoholics Anonymous. There you will find release from care, boredom, and worry. Your imagination will be fired. Life will mean something at last. The most satisfactory years of your existence lie ahead. Thus we find the fellowship, and so will you. How is that to come about, you ask? Where am I to find these people? You are going to meet these new friends in your own community. Near you, alcoholics are dying helplessly like people in a sinking ship. If you live in a large place, there are hundreds, high and low, rich and poor. These are the future fellows of Alcoholics Anonymous. Among them, you will make lifelong friends. You will be bound to them with new and wonderful ties. For you will escape disaster together, and you will commence shoulder to shoulder your common journey. Then you will know what it means to give of yourself, that others may survive and rediscover life. You will learn the full meaning of love thy neighbor as thyself. Or maybe not as thyself. Yeah, Paul, you're muted, but you want to riff on that?
Yeah, well, welcome everyone. Paul, alcoholic. Happy to be here. It's not much to riff. It's just basically talking about trying to bring someone at ease, in their worrying about what it's going to be like when they're sober. So the head's already playing God and forecasting. I'm going to be bummed out, glum, and shit like that. That's just playing God, isn't it?
Right.
You haven't arrived and had an experience, but your head tells you how it's going to be. If that isn't playing God, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
So it says, quit playing God. It's first. All right. So if that which is playing God tries to quit playing God, it's just more playing God. How are you going to get out of it? You got to see it as something other than you, really. If you keep calling it you, then you are that which is playing God. And then that which is playing God is going to try to stop playing God, which is playing God. It just goes on and on and on. Yeah. Hold on.
I heard him right. He said, hold on, yeah? Oh, there he is. You're muted, Paul.
Something came through on the phone and cut me off. So again, yeah, this is telling you that you're going to have a wonderful community, and you do, basically, and you have a purpose now to be of maximum use to yourself and others, being directed by something other than your head. All of these things come about, and there's so many miracles. I know a lot of people in AA, their whole life is based on AA completely. They met their wife, they got jobs, met a realtor, got a house, everything, yes? It's unbelievable the effect of this program. If you just stay on the operating table and don't get up and basically don't play doctor, which would be that which is playing doctor, or playing God isn't you. How are you going to be free from that? Yeah, if you keep calling it you. Yeah. How are you going to be able to entertain being free from something if that's something you keep identifying as? Yeah, it just doesn't work. Yeah. So that thing that was talking to you while you were drinking is talking to you after you're drinking. Yeah. The selfing hasn't been stopped by alcohol, recovery. It just goes on. Yeah. Basically, you can live a life of freedom from alcoholism. Doesn't mean you're going to live a life of freedom from bondage of self. Yeah. You may never drink again, but you may be fearful and worried every freaking day of your life based on listening to the forecast in one's head, having great faith in it. Yeah. So this different way is trusting the infinite rather than finite self. So just tell the truth about what is trusting finite self. What does it look like? So that maybe you can recognize it. And then at that point, when you recognize it, bring it to step 6 and 7 and ask that direction to be corrected or that not to be undone, because you and I can't do it, obviously. Yeah, when we're occupied the disease is last thing is wanting to get out of the disease. I mean, obviously, yeah. So we're living a life on almost like on the parasite's agenda than ours. Yeah. So, yeah, this is the community. This is a we program, obviously. This is, you may not see growth in yourself, but you can see growth in others. Yeah, I've watched so many people come in. They had a rabbit look on their face. Their eyes were completely different than they seemed to be a month or two later. Yeah. And then that beast that had taken them over was restrained. Yeah. And life could go on unimpeded by that occupation of the parasite. Yeah. And what does light beget? More light. Yeah. Once you have a taste of freedom, there's more possibility of freedom. Yeah. Freedom from what? The bondage of self. What's the bondage of self? We're listening to something as if it's us. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's no self you're bonded to. There isn't like a post that you've been handcuffed to. It's a mental activity. It is. When it does its number, you feel like you already are a self. It's not like you have an option of unbecoming or becoming. You already are. Now you try to unbecome and become a lot of other shit. But the self always seems to remain as the basis. That basis is off. Yeah. This is what the calamity brought about by alcoholism, amplifying selfing, brought us to an obvious condition that other people could see, like authorities, and people had to intervene on that fucking takeover because we were fucking up a lot. Yeah. So we're the perfect like canaries in the coal mine. Yeah. And they bypassed the idea of drinking and using. They went right to the exact nature of the wrong and the causes and conditions. Yeah. They realized it was pointless to keep the same conditions and to try to stop drinking. It's not going to work. Yeah. Because the conditions are driving you to drink. So the conditions have to change. We need a program of recovery. It's not putting the bottle down and swearing off. Yeah. It's never picking up another bottle in a way, a day at a time. It's not about stopping using. It's not starting. Yeah. How does it happen? The underlying conditions that we call Paul and Jacob get changed through our participation in this program, through service with others, through the community. Yes, through all of this. The higher power is using every possibility to work on us. If it is. So you're helping others, and in that you're being helped. All this, it's a win-win. We have something that's fighting for dominance in us, almost like a parasitical movement. Yeah. And it doesn't see this as a win-win. for it to win, we lose. That's how it works. Yes. You can't blame it for its own nature. That's what it is. It doesn't have a life, so it gets one through us. Yeah. So, yeah, it just came obvious with me years and years ago that self manifested in various ways is what had defeated me as part of an us, but not as self. Yeah. And then as soon as I saw it as different than me, the possibility of freedom from it was available. And I realized I had been handcuffed by identification as that I could never entertain being free other than being free as that which was binding me. I was imagining I was going to be free as. Yes? Yeah. What an insane idea. So something had to break. I couldn't break it because I was walking around in the act of being identified as this image. Yeah. The image can't get out of the image. Yeah. That which is playing God can't get out of playing God. So something had to happen. So something did happen. I got struck sober, and then life started to inform me of how screwed I freaking was. Yeah. And then where the source of my discomfort came from. And when I saw it as foreign, the possibility of not having that discomfort as the basis of my life was available. Yes.
Hallelujah. But
I need a way of life to get the right habits in place to allow that availability to truly be available here. Yeah. I can have the idea I'm not that in the head, but then live the whole day as if I'm that, or it can sink deeper and I live the whole day, yeah, from that bondage, free from it, and I don't think about it at all. Yeah. The bondage of self is not a topic I dwell on other than we're doing the talks. I don't dwell on it at all because I enjoy the relief from it. Yeah. Yeah. So we're just trying to pass it on, just like we're in a community. Yeah. What would happen if you were in hell and then one day someone came and told you, hey, there's a bus that leaves hell 2:00 every day. Make sure you don't get on the 666 bus, but the 333. Yeah. And all right, you finally go, well, I have nothing better to do. I'll take that bus, and it takes you out of hell. Wouldn't you like to inform people that are in hell that there's a bus at 2:00?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be the main compelling in your life, and a purpose that you now had is to help the alcoholic to achieve sobriety? Yeah. Yeah. And practice these principles in your affairs. God damn them all, let them stay in hell. No, that's usually it doesn't happen in most people's hearts that way. Yeah. They get relief. And of course we make mistakes. Some of us start pontificating and demanding change, and you follow, this is crazy. And then you learn, by making mistakes and having people hate you and you finally learn that there's other ways of slipping the message, like a Mickey in a drink. You slip the message in the lettering of AA, but you slip the message there. Yeah. So the AA police don't see, oh, this is coming from outside of AA. Yeah. No. Yeah. The message gets through. That didn't work right away. I was moved to talk, and I did, I was out there. And thank God I had a lot of credibility in AA, or they would have fucking kicked me out probably. And then I just put it out there, and my feelings got hurt terribly, a lot, but they're not my feelings. And the drive to share a relief was more important than saving my face, really. Yeah. Yeah. Sat there, and I had people really get super pissed at me, and my feelings, like, I never wanted to have confrontation. And there I was being confronted at meetings and shit like that. But something didn't matter because I knew in my gut. Yeah. I knew it. I knew this diagnosis was correct. I just saw it. Yeah. I saw this thing that's driving me crazy is identifies. Yeah. I take myself to be that which is driving me crazy. It's freaking crazy, really. So here we are, another Thursday. And if someone went 2 years ago to this meeting, it's basically the same thing. If you saw me 20 years ago, it was the same thing. Because it doesn't make any sense to just gallop off from here without a clear understanding of what is self and what is us. Yeah, because doesn't say us has defeated us. It says self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. And the root of the problem is relying on that which has defeated us, really. We're so reliant on it, we're identified as it. So we're basically all day relying on that which has and is defeating us. That's insane. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the people may be eating a lovely dinner and I may interrupt them, but the fucking house is on fire. Hey, the house is on fire. Oh, don't disturb us. We're ready for the dessert. Well, all right, but the house is on fire. Yeah. So, yes, yeah. So, yeah, thank you for Jacob. Yes, this is, of course, people come in the program in a complete reliance on their head. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the head's forecasting tons of shit, And if in this community, when you'd come in, your sponsor would have you write down what would you most hope for to get from sobriety after a year. Yeah. And then if you made it, he'd bring out the paper and you see how fucking small your thinking is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That year has been so much grander than you could have ever imagined or allowed yourself to entertain. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
So before we started, Annette had a question about the parasite specifically, and you brought it up a few times. We were wondering if you could talk a little bit about the parasite, how you came to that, and how you see that now, like how you define that.
Well, there's not a parasite. It's sure. Really a parasitical movement, but we're trying to use anything to trigger a sense of other. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
There needs to be a sense of other for you to entertain being free from it. You can't keep trying to entertain being free as it. It's not working. Yeah, it isn't. Is it? No. So imagery is probably the best form of communication. Mm-hmm. So most people that have been taken over by alcoholism, possession sounds pretty good, demonic possession, crazy, foreign intelligence, parasite. So basically what happened with me, where I live now, I was asked to speak a town north of here, called Petaluma. And when I was going there, I shared, and during the share, something provoked that imagery to try to convey something to the community. Yeah. So that was the first time I used the word parasite back then. And it seemed to it got something across that other words weren't doing it. Yeah. Yeah. Because people that sort of pictured how they had felt or do feel. Yeah. Like some living on them.
Feeding on us. Yeah.
So that was basically, I was in a position of being used by sharing, and that which was using me came up with the parasite idea. That was about 20 something years ago, 20, 30, something like that. So yes, I feel like people then, get up at me. Well, there's no parasite. Of course not. It's trying to get something through.
It's a metaphor. Yeah.
Yes. It is that which the disease, how the disease displays itself is parasitical. It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
It sounds like it doesn't have anything. It has to get things through you. Yeah? In other words, it doesn't have a life. It has to convince you to do shit to have its life. Yeah. And also it's almost as if, you know, it has things to fuel itself, which it can't get. Yeah. The thought about drinking doesn't lead you to drinking. The body does. Yeah. The body gets the drink. So something has to convince something else to do something that's totally insane for that something else to do. Right. Over and over and over again. So it's pretty damn strong. Yeah. So the problem resides in the mind. So that which we're listening to during the day, maybe we think it's K-Paul, but it's been taken over by the terrorist organization of active alcoholism or addiction. Yes. So it's using our broadcasting network to broadcast its take on things. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes. So how are you going to break from that if you're that? It doesn't work. Really. So
yeah,
you don't listen to other people much, but you fucking sure listen to yourself. Yeah. You got to hear that self as other people in a way. Yeah. You're very adept at not listening to other people, but you don't seem to have any ability to not listen to yourself. So maybe if you saw self as other people, you would have that same ability of not needing to listen to it as much. That's basically the presentation. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So just like you can, you know, just like you take inventories on people all fucking day. What's the hard part? You know, and then we hit fourth step. And then if the inventory is going to be on us, it's like, fuck, what? And because the parasite doesn't want you to look at your life because you're going to see it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mind you looking at other people's lives all day because it's hiding in you, right? So it's got a beautiful strategy.
Yeah.
So if you just look at our community, when do people mostly go out? Around the fourth step and the ninth step. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah. Because their action. Yeah.
Is it
and it shines a light on the parasite. Yeah.
Exactly. Is it just random? I don't think so. I think it's pretty telling that a lot of people go out around those two steps because obviously, you know, like they used to say that when we came in, you know, you got to be willing to save your ass instead of your face. Well, I thought my face was my ass. Yeah. So the ninth step is I'm trying to save my face. I don't want to confront. I don't want to admit that I was a fuck up. So I'll just move to another state or anything like that as a solution. So, and then the fourth step, obviously, you're going to do an inventory on the manifestations of self if you read the book correctly. And that's a no-no for selfing. Yeah, it's not really into you looking at it. It wants you to be looking from it. Yeah, not you looking at it. Yeah. Yeah. Very happy with you looking from it. It's got that down.
Right.
Yeah. That's why the inventory is necessary. We need to have a tangible sense of what has defeated us, and its writing is essential. Yeah. It seems to work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's curious. The fourth step, it's so genius to start off with resentments versus other people, because then the parasite is shown, right? And then you show my part, and then the light shown back onto it. And I know that I've had that experience where writing, I think I'm going to write something. My brain is saying one thing, but my hand is writing another.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. That's the beauty of the AA. It doesn't produce your answer when you do the. And the thing is, most people are doing step 1 and 2 all day, but they're at bars and shit like that. They know, you know, who they're mad at and why, but there's no relief there, is it? But it's just 2 more columns and then it shifts the spotlight, and that's where the parasite doesn't particularly enjoy. Yeah. Yeah. Is the 4th column. What was your role in it? Because usually 2 of the 4 statements that you answer, self-seeking and selfish. So basically, 2 out of the 4 have self in them already. And then inconsiderate and dishonest, hey, I mean, isn't it obvious? And really, if you look at it, inconsiderate and dishonesty are expressions of selfishness and self-centered and fright. So it's all self. That's what you see. But you keep calling it you.
Yeah.
But it's all self's role. You've done an inventory on self's role, but when you read it, the act of identification continues. You take it to be yours, isn't it? You do an inventory on self. Self said, you look at the 4th column, where was I selfish and self-seeking? You could have said, that's what I was, selfish and self-seeking and frightened. So you've done the inventory on self, but how you hold it is different because you're identified as self. Yes, do you see it? If you could just correct the way you hold it, the information would reveal a whole lot more than it's revealing the way we're looking at it now. Because we look at it now and we come out of it with my resentments, my fears, my harms to others. Yeah. But in fact, they aren't ours. So we got all the information. We just don't have it's like the understanding would be a sifter. More shit would be caught by the sifting and more shit would go out than the way we're holding it. Yeah. 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 Put resentment in there. Put my resentment, my fear, my harming others, move it around with this understanding, the my drops, and then you're left with resentment, fear, and harms done to others. Wow, completely different than my resentment, my fears. Yeah? Just a little shake with a correct understanding. Or just say another understanding, because people hear a correct understanding, meaning everything else is not correct. It's not saying that. This is just a way of looking at it. Coming right out of the book, actually. Yeah. Yeah. So we do it. We get the 4 columns. We've got the selfishness, self-seeking, and frightened. And then yet we walk out thinking it's me. Oh, it's insane. It's truly insane. And it goes on and on. Thousands and thousands of people have walked into an inventory process and a 5th step with their resentments and fears, and they've walked out with their resentments and fears. Yeah. The I didn't get, to me, the freedom from the 4th and 5th step is the my weakens. Yeah. Yeah. Then at least I have an understanding, not calling the manifestations of self mine. It may not be very strong yet, but it's a beginning. So, because you'll see that the difference between resentment and my resentment is huge. It's much heavier, my resentment, yeah? And it lasts a lot longer, my resentment, yes? And then my fear triggers a lot of my anxiety, yes? Could you imagine if you saw the mental anxiety as not yours? That would start from seeing the fear as not yours. Yeah. Then you'd have some relief from the mental anxiety that's playing off of your fear, not just fear. It couldn't do as much with fear. It does a lot with your fear. Yeah. So you're taking away its food, so to speak. Yeah. So then it goes on a starvation diet and you get to see it much better. Yeah, much clearer. Yeah. 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 And why would you want that? Because there's freedom. There's free, because when you start seeing it, when it's coming out of your life or into your life from you, you can bring the shit to step 6 and 7. Really have, like we've been recycled, but if we participated in the recycling, it'd be super great. Yeah, yes, take more. Yeah. 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 So, yes. It's just an idea that that took me somewhere. And that somewhere is in the vicinity of the problem doesn't exist for me anymore every day. That's pretty damn good. I think they have something together. There's something, they're not separate conditions. I think one really stabilized the other. Yeah, I do, humbly. And so I'm going to share it that way. Yes, yes. So recognizing the problem and seeing, like, why are you in so much fear today? Isn't it because self-reliance has failed you? So that's the diagnosis of the big book. Self-reliance is the cause of the fear. Yeah. So why would you put so much emphasis on fear without seeing the self-reliance? It's much more important because it's creating the conditions for the fear. Yeah. So what would be a high form of reliance on self? The highest one would be being identified as it. You couldn't be more reliant on an idea than taking yourself to be it. So we're depending on that which has failed us. Yeah, that doesn't provoke or promote an environment of happy joyousness and freedom, does it? It doesn't. Yeah, it provokes another condition that I'm afraid I'm not going to get what I want and lose what I have. Yeah, that's those two toppings have to have the cake to rest on. When the cake changes, yes. So the causes and conditions. If the deepest cause is an act of being identified with that head all day, the imagery that, yes, and that completely, that all the obsession that head does is used to reinforce the identification. Yeah. And seeing that changes quite a lot. Yeah. And new conditions can start setting up that aren't going to promote irritability, restlessness, and discontent. They're going to promote an ease and comfort in your surroundings right now. Fucking far out. Yeah. Yeah. So just throwing it out there. And, you know, as long as I can do it, I'll be here. People come. I don't care, because this is yeah. I'd like to see people travel lighter. If everyone was traveling lighter, this would be maybe a novel idea. You know, you could wear it, try it around, you know. Oh, that's pretty interesting. The act of identification. Yeah. And you could entertain it and then go entertain other highfalutin ideas. But it seems like there's a need for it, because we have the basic standard of being sober. We're not drinking or using anymore, but we seem to be afflicted quite a lot by the underlying causes and conditions. And it's amazing to me that it can still, like, you know, drain blood out of with guilt and shame based on behaviors you did under the influence. After 34 years, it's still sucking that shit up. Yeah, because of you were definitely the doer of all that stuff. Yeah, and there's, man, yeah. Being the doer is, that which takes itself to be the doer is not going to get out of the doer. You've got to see it from somewhere else. Yeah, and then there'll be some forgiveness available. At least see it that you were dancing with a gorilla. You were going to stop when the gorilla stopped. Yes, that will give you some ease, and maybe more ease will become available. Yeah, but every one of us feels very strongly we're the doer, and it's pictured as a body. And there's this fucking wild card called volition that we could have done something else. And the mental state has a field day with that. A credible field day. It's just fucking riffs on that completely. It wouldn't be so bad if you're the doer of actually what's happened. Yeah. Yeah. We could probably live with that, but you should have done other things.
Yeah.
There's still this imaginary world based on that you had volition. So because you had volition, you're actually bad. It's insane. And basically it leads you to a drink. you know? You want to get relief from that prison sentence, don't you?
Yeah.
So you're in prison. Those people make up some fucking strange alcoholic drinks in prison. They're very, so the head makes up some fucking heavy shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, you know, we can sit here and say, I'm not the doer, but like these kids around here just died in a car accident. Twins. One of them died, the other didn't. And the driver, I think, was intoxicated, was another brother. There's going to be a lot of feelings brought about with all of them from the sense of being the doer. And you shouldn't have been drinking, and you shouldn't have been driving, you see? The head just has a fucking field day.
Yeah.
We need a way of life. We're not going to beat, as the doer, the doing. We might as well fucking start living a principled life so we don't have to go through that. Yeah. Trying to convince ourselves we didn't do something that we completely believe we did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just live a different kind of life. Yeah. So if you can't do no harm, just do less harm. You know what I mean? And then be grateful to the AA program for allowing that to happen a day at a time. Yeah. Yeah. So you're not going to get out of the programming as the programming. There's no way. I don't feel, humbly. You've got to see it as not you, foreign to you. That's the only possibility, I feel. We've tried to get out of self as self, all of us. Our community has. That's why they brought that observation, and it's become a saying in our community. Self can't get out of self, because tons of people have tried. Yeah. They were identified as self, and they wanted to get out of what they thought was self. But they were caught in the statement, self can't get out of self. It wasn't Paul that was trying to escape self. It was self. Yeah. Self can't get out of self is an incredible statement, really. It's up there with the greatest statements to me in life is self can't get out of self. Because that's all that I was trying to do. I had no idea that Paul, what I called Paul, was pretty much self for all intents and purposes. And I thought Paul should be able to get out of self, and it made sense to Paul. And it made a lot of sense to Paul. And Paul tried a lot of ways, drugs, spirituality, everything, to get out of self, and was never successful, which produced more guilt and shame on Paul because he couldn't even get out of self. And then it dawned on me that I was in the act of being identified as self while I was trying to get out of self. Yeah. It was humble. It was a rude awakening, a hugely rude awakening. But thank God the program had worked on me, and I was willing to save my ass instead of my face, seriously. And so the truth was told. Yeah. That self can't get out of self. And a humility set in, and I realized the state of surrendered. Yeah. I just realized I'm not going to pull this off. I'm outmatched. I can't do it. Yeah. Yeah. Just can't do it. It's impossible. And I thought, you would think that would be at the end of the trail, but it's the beginning of a whole new trail. Yeah. It's hallelujah. That's when power rushes in. Mm-hmm. Really, doesn't it? When you finally admit that you're powerless, then power rushes in. I don't mean intellectually admit. I mean admit. Yeah. Something admits it to you, really. So I do believe we are the innermost, and the innermost hears and receives and informs through this thing. Yeah. And we've been introduced to that higher power, and it's the new employer. Yeah. And just like we were occupied by the old employer, we're now occupied by the new employer. Yes. What's important is to realize and to learn about the old employer, truly, while you're under the new employer. Yeah, and tell the truth. So you won't be trying to trust the infinite as the finite. You'll see that you've lost trust in the finite, and that's trust in the infinite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So, hey, anyone else, Jacob? Anybody?
I don't see any hands right now. Anybody have any questions? You can raise your hand or just go ahead and come in. Oh, Arthur Z, he's new here, and yeah, you can unmute Arthur. I can unmute you too.
Arthur is not new. I've seen Arthur.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's been under surveillance for a while. All right.
Cool.
Hey, I just want to say thank you, everybody. I'm grateful for everybody here, and I'm feeling good right now. I really enjoyed these meetings. It's evening here in Sweden, so I'm gonna sleep soon, but have a nice day, everybody. And I feel great right now. I really, really feel great. I hope this gonna be like this. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Arthur. Sweet dream. Thank you. Yes. Anybody else?
Looking around right now. Amy K from Seattle says that what's coming through today is fire.
Fire.
Fire, Paul. Fire and brimstone.
Yes. I think humility is asbestos. Oh, is that what's the one that protects you from fire?
I think asbestos does. Oh, yeah.
That's humility. It allows it to get super hot, but no one gets burnt. Not bad, eh? It's very important for, I don't know, maybe it works differently for you, but to be very clear that, you know, something is doing for us what we cannot do for ourselves is a very, to me, that's like the spiritual lazy boy. You know, it's perfect humility, just to have that sense. Then you can, you know, you can do a lot of things when you're not the doer of them. Yeah, you can show up. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I heard something recently. This was talking about emptiness specifically, but it was saying first you hear about it, then you contemplate it, and then you live it. And it was like kind of this, and those could all three maybe happen even in an instant. But there's nobody doing those things. The you doesn't need to be there. It doesn't need to be the you that hears it. There could just be the hearing, the contemplating, and the living.
Well,
it's the same way it seems with this message.
Yeah. 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 The mess for me here, you know, time is usually influential. So in time, repetition helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
It helps. So if in time you can seem to forget a lot of stuff, doesn't mean you really do, but you seem to forget. So it's to have a repeated message because it lands better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, every time you remind us about surrendering to 6 and 7, it seems that that's put into practice by the action figure consistently for a while. And then for some reason or another, it falls off. And then you remind us once again. And it's like, man, it's such a powerful, you know, means to transfer and transform whatever's going on.
Yes. Yeah. Because the ingredient is faith, and you've had enough shift from the faith in the finite to the faith in the infinite. So the solution can be sped up very quickly. You don't have to go through a lot of convincing activities and experiences to convince yourself that you're okay. You're okay. Yeah. Happen quicker. Yeah. It's nicer. Nice. Yeah. I mean, seriously, if you didn't seem to really have any interest in recovery, and then suddenly you're in recovery, I mean, that's pretty miraculous, and it can leave a lasting impression if you enter the way of life that supports that. Yeah, that energy, started like 33 years ago, and it's extended this long. Yeah, by the way of life.
Yeah.
If I hadn't been introduced to AA, it probably would have died on the vine that night. I would have probably gotten loaded the next day and on. But something not only struck me sober, it set up a train of circumstances that brought me to my first meeting that night, which is incredible, really. Yeah. And then I made a call the next morning to find an earlier meeting, and I've been going ever since. It's pretty amazing. It blows my mind, really. That wasn't in the cards 2 days before. Seriously, I was pretty. I don't know how hopeless you can be, but I felt I was the most hopeless I'd ever been. Yeah, I just basically seemed to have given up hope that my assigned life was going to change, and yet it did. So I'm a true believer in faith and miracle and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's just about hanging around long enough. If you don't die, things can really happen.
Yeah. Just keep showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, we got Walter with his hand up. Walter, go ahead and come in.
Walter.
Wow. Good afternoon. Good morning. Okay, did you do that? Go to a meeting, or just did this happen?
Well, it doesn't matter. Your head could say you went to the meeting, and then
exactly.
You could say it didn't matter, but what was triggered by going to a meeting has been a long period of sobriety. So I don't care what did it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Other question. What I notice, this whole thing about self, trying to get out of self, with me, it turns into selfing a lot of times. Then I look at the fourth step. Oh, okay, I'm doing this fourth step, I didn't do it for a while. Okay, said to myself, I have to pick up this again. But then I see myself going, which I wrote down on paper. Then I fall into analyzation about it, trying to understand myself. And I know it is nonsense, but still I see myself doing that, now I understand myself and I know this is nonsense, and still it happens.
But it doesn't say that's not the suggestion. The suggestion is to share it with someone else, called the fifth step. It doesn't say stop and analyze the shit. It says
I know I do share it, but then I've got at the moment I'm without a sponsor. Difficult to get a proper sponsor. I mean, I'm not in the need to get a sponsor who brings me more confusion. It's a small community here.
Yes. Well, maybe you need to meet someone here that will listen to you on a Zoom or something, if you like. Yeah. Because remember, with fourth and fifth, especially the fifth, when you're going over it, it's like a threesome. There's you, the other person, and then there's power. Yeah. We always want to include a recognition of that. And the understanding is really going to come from the power, not from you and the other person. Yeah. It may look like it's coming through them, but it's really the power that's bringing the information through. So you don't have to worry that you're doing it and you're analyzing it. No, that part, that drive to analyze it will be analyzed by something else. Yeah. So that's how I see it. There's a power when you get together, obviously, because like when you do the steps, a lot's seen, and when you help other people through the steps, you see a lot more. Yeah. So it's yeah, but all the while is that overlying sense that there is something included that you may not see, which is this power. Yeah. And if you want to have it anchored to the idea of something struck you sober, whatever, however you want to have it feel intimate, you have an intimacy, yeah, of that power coming through you to say the right thing to that person, or yes, yeah. Yeah. So it wasn't much deep analyzation. I could see in the fourth column, and then the commonality by looking at the graph of the pattern of how self defeated me. Yeah, I saw it. It was a pretty simple, it was more like taking blood, not going through your family of origin. You know, some sample was taken out, it was looked at, you could see self. And then it doesn't, I don't want it to become self-knowledge, because that avails us nothing. So you basically let that power, you know, have the knowledge, and you're on a need to know basis, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's almost like a purposeful dumbing down in AA so that you become the receiver of the knowledge, not the holder of the knowledge. Yeah. 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 So, yeah.
Thanks.
But I'm sure someone would love to hang out with you, Walter, and then share it, and then and also share that, which is the head tends to go into an overdrive about trying to figure shit out. Yeah, that you could bring to step 6 and 7 too. Yeah.
I did a lot of overdrives in my life, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So this is, well, that shit's going to slow down, and then you'll be able to get out of it. Yeah. You don't want to jump out now. It may be going too fast. So it slows down, then you get out. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Walter. And we're here for you, bro, too. However we can be. Yeah.
I appreciate it a lot.
And there's a lot of support here, and a lot of people would probably be more than happy to talk with you about it, because in small communities, yes, it's more difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, you see things going around, you know. I mean, now just the other day, 2 other people died, you know. It's very confusing. Actually, people don't do the program. They sober up and then they go to a psychologist. A lot of smart ass talk. I did it myself enough, you know. So
yeah. Well,
it's very saddening to see, you know, people first celebrate and 3 days later they're just totally dead, you know. Or you see people going around in the same circle for a decade or something. And I don't want to complain. Actually, I want to contribute as much as I can. But rather be alone as to get into more confusion.
Yes, well, take advantage of the meeting after the meeting.
I will. Yeah. I will.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah.
You're giving me good advice. Thank you.
Thanks, Walter.
Yeah, the goal isn't to really know thyself, it's to know self as other. Yeah. Yeah. That's to me is the key. Because then that self-knowledge avails us nothing. That's an incredibly important statement too in the book. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Knowledge is what something else makes it up. Yeah. Knowledge could be like a gun, or it could be a shovel. It could be, it's what's before it, which is us. Yeah. So Yeah.
The first line of the Bible, that's where the misery starts.
Well, yes, yes. The thought system is where the problem resides. So, yeah. Means, yeah, yeah. You know, it's sort of like, yeah, when you were young, that field grew strawberries. Now it's been used for 10 years to grow guilt and shame. It may take a few years to change the soil to get back to strawberries. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's some undoing that may need to be done. So yeah, just yeah, yeah. I want it now.
Yeah, sure.
That's the addictiveness. Yeah, I want it now. Yes. I remember when I was in the first few months, I had a very rocky, and I felt very, very guilty relationship with this lady. She was a very nice woman, and by the time she had been with me and my friends, she was totally beaten and misshaped into something else. It was so I had a lot of discomfort around that relationship when I got sober first. And I was on the first step. I was not near the 8th or 9th step, but I decided to find where she was to make an amends, which wasn't going to be an amends. It was like I wanted relief, yeah, like a drug. I wanted her to say something that would make me feel better, yeah. So I found out where she worked in San Francisco, and I called one night, and someone else answered the phone. Can I speak to so-and-so? And they got her. She came to the phone. And as soon as she heard my voice, she says, I never want to hear this voice again this lifetime. And she hung up. Yeah. And I didn't get what I wanted, which was relief. It wasn't an amend I was making. I was doing it just like I did with every drug and everything else. I wanted to fucking get relief for myself. Yeah. So I learned a lot by doing that. I learned that this program is a linear one, and that 1 produces a sense of being right for 2 and 3 and 4. And it doesn't work for me to start doing 9th step amends when I was on step 1. Yeah. It's very, very educational. And, you know, her wish was to never hear from me again. And I never tried to get in touch with her again. Yeah. Because that was very clear. She never wanted to see me anymore. And that was how the amend was going to take shape. My amend to her was never to see her again. Really. So, yeah. So this is, remember, a lot has been done to this action figure, and some of it has to be undone. It takes a little time. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But the principles aren't built. They're there all the time. Yeah, they're sound. They're not in process. They're not being produced. They're something that overrides circumstances and situations. The principles. And the principles of recovery are sound, incredibly sound. So any action figure can use it as a North Star, and they're going to start learning how to face life successfully by following the principles of AA. Yeah, they are. Yep. So all that stuff happened. You know, I remember I did the 4th step, and I told the person I did it with that I had some outstanding warrants that I wasn't going to deal with. Yeah. Because I was afraid they would put me in jail. So he said, okay, we'll get back to them later. And so I stayed sober. He wasn't my sponsor for long. About a year later, I met this girl, and unbeknownst to me, she was an assistant district attorney in San Francisco. She used a different name in AA, and she did a background check before she went out with me, and she saw these warrants out for my arrest, these felony charges, and so she brought it up. And now nothing had changed. The same thing the same possibility of going to jail, but I had changed in the year in the program. Yeah. And that which I had told the other guy I would never deal with, I was willing to deal with when she brought it up. Yeah. And I ended up showing up, going to court, and I didn't go to jail. I had to pay some money, and she helped me get out. Yeah. And I cleaned that up. Now, a year before, I was not in the condition to be able to entertain a willingness to do that. But the program brought that condition into place in a year, then conspired for me to meet this lady who was a DA, help, you know, and it just bammo, that was cleared up. This happens tons of times. Yeah. And some of the shit needs time. It's not going to happen at that time. It's going to happen in time. You know, when it's time, it will. Yeah. But I saw the incredible no willingness whatsoever, and then willingness that was grown in me for that year, unbeknownst to me, really. Yeah. But a willingness had grown. And I had a number of experiences like that, where the old behavior was like calling me, but something stopped me from following the old way, and I stayed true to the new way. Like huge situations that I was super afraid I was going to go to jail again and stuff. And then somehow life conspired to get me through it. And yeah. But if that would have happened at a certain other time, it wouldn't have worked. But I was getting primed and ready for things to occur. Yeah. Who's saying that we're not being cooked right now? Yeah. Who knows what purpose life has in store for us? Yeah. This is the joy of living. Yeah. Yeah. I have an assurance I'm in great hands because they're not mine. I have a deep assurance of that, which is cool. So, yeah. You have a new employer, bro, being all powerful. It's going to take care of us. As long as we do two things, which is stay close to it. You can't be far from everywhere, and do its works well. Well, that's a very loose statement. Yeah. So basically, that's the guarantee you're going to be taken care of if those two requirements are met. One of them you already met, and the other one, yeah, who says you're not meeting it? Yeah. So there you go. Now you're walking around having a sense of being taken care of instead of trying to fucking figure out how to take care of yourself. Yeah. Great. Completely different. So yeah. All right. Anyone else? Walter, nice to see you.
Thank you, Walter. No other questions, but Joseph C says, thank you. He had answers to questions that he didn't even know he had tonight.
Oh, nice, Joseph. I'm happy. Yes. That makes me happy. Yeah. So you want to say goodbye now? Yeah. Yeah,
let's do it.
All right. So we got Walter. You can put that hand down now, Walter. In the little. We got Jacob. Jacob, thanks a lot. Doing a great job. Thank you for the service. Mickey, the matriarch of Madeira. Arthur, it's past bedtime in Sweden. Go horizontal, bro. It's over. Yeah. We got Connor from Dublin. It's never bedtime in Dublin. No, it's a little. PK, I see his left forearm. His left forearm tells a lifelong story there. He's got a sleeve. All right, we got Paul in the UK. We got, oh, there she is, Kristen from, I guess, the Philadelphia area. Yeah, yes. Nice to see you, honey.
You too, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Joseph from France. Stefan on having never left. Tom on wishing he could leave. No, New Hampshire's beautiful. I like New Hampshire. Steve from Germany, there he is. Thank you, Steve. We got Roman, Germany also. We got Chris from Kentucky. All our hearts are with you in Kentucky, Chris. There you go. We got Debbie. Nice to see Debbie there. We got Ruby Rose from Wichita, Kansas. Jess from, I think she's in Dublin. Yeah, she's there somewhere. Nice to see you, honey. We got Annette down there. Oh, also, I want to mention for people, especially in Europe and stuff, in September of this year, we're going to try to do a retreat in Italy. My girlfriend Amelia is from Italy, and she's setting it up, and she's gonna, the information's on the website, and it'll be more information. And if we get enough people to sort of put down a down payment, it will happen. If not, we'll just do a Zoom. But it'll be nice. It'll be, she's got a lot of excursions planned. It's very cool. Beautiful place. All right. So that's done. We've got, let's see, Annette. All right. We got Kelly. Nice to see Kelly. There she is. We got Chris, Mammoth Lakes. Amy. There she is from Seattle. Nina, not Tina or Mina. Nice to see you, Nina. Get us down to LA.
Okay.
We got Terry. Let's see, who else? Verena has graced us with her presence once again from Germany. We got Kerry from Hawaii. He looks like a Hawaiian realtor. He's got the shirt and everything. Oh, here's another one. Oh, the picture. And then you. There you are.
I'm at Target, man. I'm working.
Oh, all right.
Target. I'm waiting for a toaster to fall on my head. Here, see, they're right up there.
That's going to happen February 9th.
Put a plaque up when you do it, Carrie.
I'll push the toaster myself. Yeah. We got, all right, let's see. We got Rhoda. I hope I'm saying that right, in California. See a picture of her. We got Oliver from Berlin also. We got Ben C from the UK. Logan, I don't know where they're from. Doesn't matter. I just like saying it. And yeah, everyone, thank you. Thank you. We'll be around. Everything's on the website under events, all the talks, and all's welcome. And we'll be here Saturday. We have a live meeting and a Zoom at 1 o'clock. So yeah, thank you. See you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.